Welcome back. We are now in part three, our last part of Genesis 6 through 8. And today we're going to be talking about the ending of the flood. So, as you remember last time, we talked about how man has been corrupt on the earth. Every inclination, every part of their heart is to evil. And so, God has decided that He's going to destroy every living thing on earth. And He's going to do this through a flood. However, Noah was righteous before God. So God chooses Noah and his family to save them. He instructs Noah to build an ark, and he takes in two of every kind of animal, 14 types of the clean animals and birds onto this ark. And so Noah and his family are on this ark, and it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. And the flood covers the whole earth, and everything living dies. And so now we're going to learn how the flood ends. We're going to be in Genesis chapter 8, verse 1. But God remembered Noah and all the beasts and all the livestock that were with him in the ark. And God made a wind blow over the earth, and the waters subsided. I can only imagine what being in an ark for that long with that many animals, how important it was that God remembered Noah at this time. All right, so verse 2, the fountains of the deep and the windows of heaven were closed. The rain from the heavens were restrained, and the waters receded on the earth continually. And at the end of 150 days, the water had abated. And in the seventh month, on the 17th day of the month, the ark came to rest on the mountains of Ararat. And the waters continued to abate until the 10th month. In the 10th month, on the first day of the month, the top of the mountains were seen. And so the ark is on this mountain, and this is not a real picture of Ararat. This is just a picture of the mountain. But the ark was on top of the mountain, it's resting on it, and you're just beginning to see the tips of mountains. At the end of 40 days, Noah opened a window of the ark that he had made, and he sent forth a raven, and went to or from until the waters were dried up from the earth. Then he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters had subsided from the face of the earth. But the dove found no place to set her foot, and she returned to him to the ark, for the waters were still on the face of the whole earth. So he put out his hand, and he took her, and he brought her into the ark with him. He waited another 7 days, and again sent forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came back to him in the evening, and behold, in her mouth was a fleshly plucked olive leaf. So Noah knew that the waters had subsided from the earth. Then he waited another 7 days and sent forth the dove, and she did not return to him any more. And so this was glorious news to Noah and everyone with him, because the waters have finally subsided. They were gone enough that the dove was able to make her home. If they do that soon, they'd be able to come back. In fact, this is such exciting news that to this day, a dove and an olive branch often symbolizes peace. And so that's why you might see those symbolisms of a dove and an olive branch, because when Noah sent out the dove, he knew that the waters had subsided and that they would soon be able to return. So now we're in verse 13. In the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried from off the earth. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. In the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then God said to Noah, go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons and your son's wife with you. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. There's that command from earlier, be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his son's wife with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. Then Noah built an altar to the Lord, and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. All right, so that is beginning of the covenant or the promise that God has made for Noah. And so, as we go on, we're going to learn more about this covenant next time and what Noah and his descendants do after the flood. So, I hope you enjoy this. You have a wonderful rest of your day as you're thinking of God's goodness and his salvation, even throughout all of the craziness.